tons. So she's a big girl. I'm going to show you her major operating systems and how she works. Come on, right in front of the engine right here. Well, this might try to start over here. This is the Class C coupler. This is the type of coupler that was on the trains from the 1880s onwards, sort of thing. It hasn't been changed much over the years. But as trains got heavier and heavier, they had to change, eventually they had to change the type of coupler that they were using. So they changed the Class C with the much larger Class E type coupler, which is twice the mass of this, and that type of coupler, the E coupler, also has about 2.5 feet of cushioning built in to each coupler unit to preserve the passenger cars or freight cars, whatever you happen to be coupling onto. So when I pull the pin on, the knuckle opens right here. That's the knuckle, this part here. When two trains come together, the knuckles close, the pin drops, and that's your locking mechanism right there, okay? Easy peasy. So, down below, we have the good old cow catcher. Well, this wasn't designed to catch cows. What it was designed to do was to knock large, 1 second, okay? Okay, sir.
Let's get into it.
So down below, as I mentioned, is the cow catcher. Now this was not designed to catch cows. What it was designed to do is knock large objects like tree trunks or rocks and stuff like that out of the way. We don't like things going underneath the engine if at all possible. Up above we have the headlight, which will light up the track for a 1/4 mile ahead of the train. Above the headlight we have the large black metal cylinder right on the top there. That's the feed water heater. The feed water heater is part of the superheater system that superheats the steam up to temperatures ranging between 400 and 550 degrees Fahrenheit. So way north of the boiling point. So the steam system is what I'm going to show you next. Come on right around this side, okay? So, yes, have I got a kettle for you? This is the steam cylinder. Maximum pressure inside the steam cylinder, 250 pounds per square inch. Normal operating pressure up between 155 up to 215 psi. We don't like it going north of 215 for the simple reason, if you happen to have talked to anyone been anywhere near a boiler explosion, they'll give you 3 words of advice: don't be there. So the way this works is a pressure chamber. These chambers have to be inspected and certified on a regular basis. Last time this was inspected, 25th March 1959. Okay, probably before a few of your birthdays here. At any rate, the inspection is generally good for 10 years with an interim inspection after 5 years. This locomotive was retired in 1966. So in other words, it never made it to its next major inspection. Okay? So the way this works, we have an upper and lower chamber. We have a channel coming down the top that's divided into 3 parts. 2 parts to bring high pressure steam into this upper chamber. A 3rd part to take exhaust from the lower back of this lower chamber and take it up back channel up to the smokestack at the top, okay? So when the high pressure steam goes into the upper chamber, this piston, driven by this system right here, super compresses the steam. The steam is then redirected to the lower chamber where another piston is moved into this position. When that happens, the steam being very, very hot, very high pressure, that pushes that piston forward. That piston pushes the piston rod. The piston rod against the main side rod right here. Main side rod turns the driving rods, which turn all four driving wheels forward or backward in the gearing that I've selected. Okay. Underneath the steam cylinder, you see that fixture right at the bottom. Those are the cylinder cocks. The cylinder cocks are opened either by myself, the engineer, I sit on this side of the cab, the engine, or my partner, the fireman, who sits on the other side. Either of us can open the cylinder cocks. With me, I've reached my upper left. The second valve on my upper left. First one is the bell for the locomotive. Second one is the cylinder cocks. I open the valve, out comes the steam. This is my primary control that I have of controlling the pressure inside the steam cylinder. Of course, we have temperature and pressure gauges in the cab and several of them. So, both for the right cylinder and also, of course, for the left cylinder over on the other side. Back here, the driving wheels. These are the drivers. These are made of a combination of case-hardened steel and cast steel. We have a tire around the perimeter of the wheels that's made of case-hardened steel. The tire goes onto the wheel before the wheel goes on the locomotive. The tire is there to protect the wheel for wear and tear. Okay. These wheels, each one set of wheels, which includes the set of wheels plus the axle in between the wheels. Each set of wheels weighs 7,500 pounds. That's the two wheels plus the axle. So, and there are four of them. So, a lot of mass right here. Back here is the water pump. Now, this is a crucial piece of equipment. Where do we get the steam from? We heat and cook the water, boil the water, and bring it up to super high temperatures. This is what pumps the water through the system. It starts operating at 60 pounds pressure. What drives it is the air compressor right here. There's a matching pair of water pump and air compressor over on the other side of the engine, okay? The air compressor kicks up at 60 pounds pressure. Where does it get that from? From the steam pressure. The steam pressure drives a little turbine in the compressor. The compressor kicks in and drives the water pump. So this entire structure of the locomotive right here is the boiler. Up and down the boiler, we have 130 boiler tubes, about this big around, set in four groups, two lower groups and two upper groups. The two lower groups take the water up and down the boiler and over top of the firebox. Inside the firebox, we have the coal fires raging inside, temperatures between 1,000 and 1,500 Celsius, okay? Over top of the firebox, we have a brick arch. The heat rises from the flames in the firebox through the bricks into the boiler tubes where we have the water going back and forth. The water being heated turns to steam. Then the steam goes to the upper set of boiler tubes where it goes through this dome right up here. That's the steam dome. That is the primary component of heating the steam up to the temperatures and pressures that are needed to operate those steam cylinders. Okay. Back of the steam dome, we have the sand dome. The sand dome is a 60 cubic foot container full of sand. We use compressed air to blow the sand down in front of the number 2 wheel right over there. You see the pipe coming down there, and the number 3 wheel right here. Okay, that's to give me extra traction on a wet, slippery, or greasy rail. Back of the sand dome, we have the recirculating dome. That takes the water that has failed to turn to steam and recirculates it back into the system. And that is augmented by another heater unit over on top of the throttle connection, throttle assembly unit just forward of the cab. So, we have a lot of systems and subsystems on this locomotive. Steam systems, water systems, sand systems, air systems, electrical systems, and every one of those systems have subsystems and so forth. Okay, come on back here just a minute. So at the bottom of the firebox, we have these three doors. They're called dampers. The dampers, I could open and close them from inside the cab on my side. The fireman does it on his side. Open and close to let fresh air come in to fan the flames inside the firebox. Fires love oxygen, okay? If it's really hot and humid out, or if it's raining, we'll close the dampers and we'll use, guess what? Compressed air from the locomotive blower. So the compressor works overtime, believe me. The air compressor is one of the most important parts of the equipment on the locomotive. So up here we have the cab, where I sit on this side here. 57% is the operating efficiency of this engine versus a diesel electric locomotive that sits around 87 to 94, 95%. Much more efficient. However, having said that, this engine will outmuscle any diesel on the planet, bar none. And that includes the monsters operated by Union Pacific in the southern United States. Those engines are 12,000 horsepower, and they weigh about 2/3 as much as what this locomotive alone weighs. This engine is certified for 20,000 horsepower. End of story. No contest whatsoever. Back behind the engine, we have the tender. 18 tons of coal goes into the tender. This is the coal tower right above us with a capacity of 5,000 tons. At the back of the tender, it takes 12,000 imperial gallons of water. That's 16,000 US gallons of water. So I'll take your questions at any time. I know that you're just itching to put somebody on the front of the engine and take some pictures. Or some other poor victim. At any rate, let's head up to back up the front, like I say. If you have any questions, I'll take them whenever you like. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Come on over here. So this is a diesel electric locomotive. So how does that work? We have a big diesel engine in the middle of our long hood up front, okay? By big, I mean really big. The diesel engine turns an electrical generator. The generator is located right behind this panel right here, okay? The generator puts out 600 volts direct current, DC current versus AC. AC is alternating current, DC is direct current. DC current, we use DC current because it's much more powerful, okay? 600 volts, direct current, and up to 1,500 amps of electricity. That means basically almost a megawatt of power, almost 1 million watts of power, okay? In other words, if you stick your fingers in behind that panel when it's turned on, you're going to light up like a Christmas tree, okay? So you don't want to do that. So that electricity is sent down. There's 4 axles holding the wheels, 2 axles in the rear, 2 axles in the front, 4 wheels on each, okay? Each one of those axles, each of those 4 axles has an electrical motor attached to it. And guess where it gets the electricity from? The generator, right here, okay? The generator sends the electricity down to those axles. The electricity is turned into kinetic energy and turns the wheels. So when I bring the throttle back with more and more power, all the way to full power, this electric gauge will go up here, sort of thing, okay? You'll get your 600 volts. We start moving, okay? At full power, this engine will go 75 miles an hour. It's a freight engine, mostly for freight trains, but it is used for passenger trains sometimes, okay? So that's the throttle. This is the reverser right here, forward and reverse, okay? This is the brake for the locomotive only, right here. That's called the independent brake. This brake is for the train only.
The entire train?
The entire train, yeah, including the locomotive, okay? When I apply the automatic brake or train brake, the independent brake will automatically come on. If I don't want the independent brake to come on, I press and hold it for 3 or 4 seconds like that, and it will release. But every time I give it more of an application, I have to do the same thing. Keep doing the same thing, okay? So, with the automatic brake, there's several positions. Application, reduction. The reduction goes through right to here. Then, if necessary, full emergency, okay? If I go into full emergency, I have to wait till I get stopped before I reset it and put it right back to the charging or to the release position. Okay?
Okay.
You're going to memorize all that? Okay?
Yeah, I'll memorize it because of the recording.
Okay,
Definitely.
so this is the bell on the front of the engine. Ding, ding, ding. Okay? This is the horn to wake up everybody in the neighborhood at 4 o'clock in the morning. Okay? That's my favorite toy. All right. This is your headlights, front and back. This right here is the front sander, or going forward or going backwards. Remember I told you about the sander on the steam locomotive?
Yeah.
Same thing, okay? To give me more traction on a wet or slippery rail, okay? These are your air pressure gauges for your air brakes, okay? These are warning lights for wheel slip and other things. These are electronic controls for the engine. You'll notice that everything here looks really stiff to operate. Well, that's because it's analog. There's nothing digital on this baby at all. No Wi-Fi at all, okay? If you want Wi-Fi, you're looking in the wrong place. No Wi-Fi whatsoever. So, now, do you have any questions?
No, that's actually it.
When did this go out of commission? This type of train?
Late 1980s, 1989 sort of thing. It was built in 1953.
Okay.
Yeah. 1,500 horsepower, weighs 147 tons, and of that weight, approximately 35 tons is the engine itself, just the engine, the diesel engine sort of thing. Yeah.
How many cylinders?
It's 12 cylinders, and the cylinders are like this big around and about this high, sort of thing, off the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, you
You
can
ask
ask the
them the
question.
question.
Yeah. This is known as the dynamic brake, the dynamic brake engagement. Now, I was just explaining to him that this is a diesel electric locomotive. So, when I'm running the engine, normally the engine is turning a generator. The generator is sending electricity down to 4 big motors, one on each of the 4 axles, and that's what turns the wheels. Okay? Now, if I come along to a downhill somewhere, I've got a big train behind me, and I want to slow down going down the hill. Sometimes my air brakes aren't enough. So we have dynamic brake. So in order to engage the dynamic brake, I have to close the throttle. I have to move this dynamic brake forward into the engaged position, wait about 5 seconds or so, and then start bringing my throttle back. Only this time, the throttle, what it's doing is not providing propulsion for the locomotive, it is providing resistance, because what I've done is cross the polarity of those big electric motors. They are now resisting forward movement, okay? I've got hundreds of thousands of ohms that work for me on each one of them, okay? It's slowing me down. It's no longer providing propulsion. Now it's resistance. So that helps me slow down when I have the dynamic brake engaged. When I get down to the bottom of the hill, I get the whole train out of there. Again, I have to close my throttle, disengage the dynamic brake, wait a few seconds. Now when I bring my throttle online again, now I've got propulsion again.
So the
the thing that moves the wheels is not the piston, it's the electric generator.
It's the electric. That's right.
Oh, so
Yeah, that's a diesel electric
Sorry about that.
locomotive. Yeah, that's what a diesel electric locomotive does. It uses the electricity for propulsion. Much more efficient, much more powerful. And with electricity, you can vary the amount of energy you're using very, very incrementally. In fact, so incrementally it's a smooth transition sort of thing, okay? That's why we call, when we're moving the throttle to higher positions, we call those positions transitions. First transition, second, all the way up to eighth, okay? Full power.
cool. Thank you
Okay?
very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
So I tell you what, if you guys, if you want to go over to that side, they can let some people in there, okay? Hi, how are you? Hi, boy. Hi. Hi there.
That was pretty cool, man. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I spent like